Ashley Pearson and Kyle Hill were in a troubled relationship. According to reports, Hill was prone to violence, especially when he drank.
They've had a volatile relationship. A lot of people in the community has said that he abused her.
On the night of September 14th, 2018, Hill met his mother at this neighborhood bar to celebrate her birthday. After several drinks, Hill went back to the home he shared with Pearson, their son, and her daughter from a previous relationship. Pearson claims the two got into a fight. Hill allegedly beat her and threatened her daughter, who was referred to as NP in defense documents. They go on to say Ashley knew he was going to beat NP, so she grabbed a knife from the countertop and attempted to get between Hill and NP. Ashley swung at him in a frantic manner with the hope of stopping his advance toward NP, and Hill suddenly stopped.
According to her story, she came with a knife and stabbed him. I think it was in the heart. He died of a single stab wound.
A Wellington man is dead after a stabbing early this morning.
Dina Bailey talked to KSN-TV about the pain of losing her son.
Can't even describe what the pain feels like when you lose a child. It's just your heart is cut out.
The county's chief prosecutor at the time, Kerwin declined to pursue charges, believing Pearson's story that she was defending herself and her daughter.
I interviewed him, and he said that everything that she had done was consistent with the self-defense motion.
Prosecutor Spencer retired in 2021. The new county attorney, Larry Marczynski, took another look at the case and concluded the killing could not have happened the way Pearson said it did, and charged her with second-degree murder.
He said that when he first took the job, Kyle Hill's family says, you got to revisit this. This is not right, because she murdered our son. He looked into it. He said that nothing added up.
Ashley Pearson's attorney is hoping to get that murder charge tossed, claiming the killing was justified. If the judge denies this motion, Pearson will have to face a jury and the prospect of prison if she's convicted.
It's a stand your ground hearing, and we see them in a lot of cases. A lot of cases where self-defense is the defense. You get an extra bite at the apple, and you can ask the judge to have the charges dismissed and be immunized from prosecution and civil lawsuits and all of that. And we've seen it in a lot of cases. What we haven't seen is what happened today. Okay? All the testimony, all the evidence is in, the arguments are made. Here's the judge.
He has beaten his girlfriend, the defendant in this case, savagely on several occasions. He's beaten his own mother. He's beaten his own grandma. Again, they hedge on that. All three of those folks are enablers. The defendant's an enabler, the mother's an enabler, the grandmother's an enabler. And so nothing ever came to the court. I'm not sure she's even sure what she did, her testimony, but she did believe she had saved the life of her child. So the question then becomes whether or not the use of force was objectively reasonable. And of course it was. There really isn't any question about that. From the evidence that I see here today, it was objectively reasonable. It would have been, to me, objectively unreasonable not to have done something. The only evidence I've heard is that he was in that vortex of violence that night that he'd been in, you know, for a good portion of his life. This is a pretty easy one for me, that the defense's motion for immunity is granted and the case is dismissed. You are free to go.
There she is inside the courtroom. Wow. The applause breaks out from her supporters behind her. I mean, the evidence, there was a lot of evidence in this case about what the victim did. And it was all true. I mean, it's coming from witnesses for the prosecution as well. He's beating up everybody. and then you inject a child into the mix, and, you know, the child, you're going to do anything to protect your child. And that's what the judge saw. So stand your ground motion. Granted. Charges dismissed. Here she is speaking to Court TV afterwards.
It's finally over, so me and my kids can go in a different direction that doesn't lead to a freaking box 6 feet under or a jail cell, so I'm okay with that. Luckily, I had awesome friends, and like I said, I did protect Kyle, and I rarely protected myself, but I had people around me and a community and an awesome lawyer.
Ashley did a great job. You don't have to prepare people, you're just going to tell the story. She's been stuck to the story, it's the truth. The only hard part is, the only real coaching I had to give her was try not to speculate.
What is your message to those women?
That that we understand, but it's not going to change. Like, and it can end up really, really, really horrible in 1 second. Like, you hear like them tell you like, get out, he's going to kill you, and you just think it's something that is said to people like me, but it can literally happen in your whole life, whole everything. Your brain is completely changed in 1 second. Don't even take that risk. Like, it's not going to change. There is help. Like, and it's scary, but it's not as scary as being here, thinking that you're going to go away for the rest of your life for being a mom. Like, twice. Oh, I'm just so glad it's over. Oh my gosh.
Wow. Let's bring back in our think tank, Al Wunsch, Darnell Crossland, Jennifer Brandt. Darnell, was justice served here?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. This is a tough one, but this is sort of like way back in the days, probably before your time, but the burning of the bed syndrome. You know, how do you get out? And a lot of times you either get out in a box, as she was saying, or you get out in handcuffs. In this particular case, she ended up in handcuffs, but the judge saw through that, and I think he properly granted that motion. Everything that happened that night was commensurate with what was happening throughout the relationship and throughout this man's life with his mother and the people he dated. So I think he acted in conformity therewith, and he got, as the judge was saying, he got what he deserved. I thought the judge was saying, you know, this would be easy for me tonight. Those kind of comments kind of get judges in trouble. So I was a little nervous for the judge, but he ruled correctly. He just was a little bit verbose with it.
Jennifer Brandt, you look at the situation that she described, and what we heard in the courtroom is that the victim in all this is violent towards his grandmother, and you've got children in the situation. This is the type of case, among others, the reason why we have laws like this that allow someone to go before a judge to get this thing dismissed before you have to go in front of a jury and a trial. This is what Stand Your Ground is about. You're the one that is in peril, your child, and you have to do something to defend yourself.
Right. Well, I mean, the judge got it right here, Vinny, but a lot of times we see where judges don't get it right. And she's expressing exactly what goes on with a lot of situations where there's domestic violence and someone does something to protect themselves. They don't always get the charges dismissed. So, you know, hopefully people who are out there will listen to her and, you know, not let themselves get into that situation to begin with. Easier said than done, for sure. But to see somebody like this who is really bearing her soul, who had to go through so much for such a long time, and hopefully, you know, her words will resonate with other people who might be in a similar situation, to get out before you get into a situation where you have to fight for your life, for the life of your child.
Right.
So,
and in her case, she has two children, one with him, one from a different father. Al, I think she put it best at the end. You know, I faced spending the rest of my life in prison for being a mom.
That was very, very moving. And I have to slightly disagree with Darnell, because I think that the court can take judicial notice that anyone who beats up their grandmother deserves to be punished. It's as simple as that. And I mean, I don't condone violence against the girlfriend. I don't condone violence against mom. But once you go after grandma, I mean, this is a bad man. This is a person that did some horrible things. And he was a dangerous person. And she acted out finally. And she put this man away. And it's just a horrific, horrific story for her, a horrific story for her 2 children that have to go through. But at least in this case, the true victim is won, and justice has triumphed.
Darnell, this is a case where she got up on the witness stand and she told her story. And it, you know, she got very emotional. She was emotional when other people were testifying as well. It came across as real to me.
Yeah, I think when I first heard about this, and I was trying to do a little research, because I think this is a nuanced situation where stand your grounds is like an affirmative defense. So you can get it, but you have to you have the burden of proving it. And I think that her lawyer said it was easy for him with her because he just told her to tell the truth. And so she carried that burden and she told the truth. And I think what's going to happen in the future is going to be kind of tough for her to explain to her kid, you know, that she had to kill his father. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of therapy needed down the line. So this is tough all the way around. But as she said, it's better to be, you know, before court than to be at a cemetery.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Jennifer, when you've got a situation like this, like how complicated would it be? Right? He's the father. I'm going to presume that he's probably a controlling person or was a controlling person. She has a child with him. She wants to leave and get out and is claiming, you know, all this violence in the house. How difficult is it to get out, number one, and number two, to legally keep him away from his own child?
Right. The getting out part, Vinny, is difficult more mentally than physically. I mean, she had the ability to leave and go somewhere else. But people that are in this situation feel very trapped, as we know, and feel that they can't get out, even though they are free to walk out the door anytime. And sounds like she had some supporters who would probably have helped her. But the more difficult part would be fighting for custody for this child, because we've seen our courts, and I see it every day. Judges are, you know, believe that it is best that children have a relationship with both parents, and it's oftentimes hard to prove that someone is a violent person if there are no bruises, no prior acts, no, you know, she hadn't been to the court before or anything like that. Like the judge said, she kind of took it and, you know, didn't go to court, didn't fight, didn't get a protection order, didn't do anything. In those situations, it's often difficult to prove that someone is so violent. And, you know, you sometimes see that the violence comes out later, unfortunately, against the child or against somebody else. It's almost like you get this chance to have the child before you know, even get to prove that there's some problem. So it's a hard one for sure.
All right. Unbelievable, unexpected until you heard all the testimony. Up next.
I'm surprised.
He's been married 6 times. 4 of his wives are dead. Now he's charged with murdering his wife and the hitman he allegedly hired to kill her. We have the big moments from court in Nevada versus Randolph.